Thank you guys so much for coming out today. This is a very, very special time. And I wanted to welcome everybody from Coverdale. Everyone from Coverdale, raise your hand. All right, Coverdale. This is such a blessing. It's been 100 years that last year we celebrated our 100th year, and it's great to come together to celebrate with everybody. As you see, we still have a lot of setup to happen, but we're going to respect the ceremony and just take our time and listen to everybody who's coming forth. Want to give a big shout out to all of the people on our committee. We have Bob McCormick, Deb Hakeem, Miss Henrietta Bowles, Miss Peggy McShane, Tara, I forget, McNeil, thank you. Liza and Mackenzie, Colin. And we worked really well with the Bethel Park Municipality, Bethel Park Chamber, Bethel Park Community Foundation. It's been an all-around great effort for everyone participating. So I just really want to tell everybody, I'm so happy to see all of my family and friends, get to know new people, and also just spend some time fellowshipping and getting to know each other better. Well, thank you, and I'm going to turn it over to Tim Moury, who is our Master of Ceremony.
Good morning and welcome, everybody, on behalf of the municipality, and thank you, Diane, for everything you've done to make this day what it is or what it's going to be. On behalf of the municipality of Bethel Park and the 100th Anniversary Committee, we want to welcome everybody to the dedication of the new Miners Park, along with the 100th year anniversary of Coverdale. There are some people I would like to acknowledge. I'm just going to read a quick list of names that are here today. The elected officials, we have State Representative Natalie Mihalik, State Senator Devlin Robinson, Allegheny County Councilman Tom Durr, Bethel Park Council members Joe Consolmagno, Dr. Tim Campbell, Jim Hannon, Mayor Jack Allen, Municipal Manager Lawrence Christian, and our honorary Chamber of Commerce chair members, Reno Virgili, Pete Edwards, who unfortunately couldn't make it here today, and Mayor Jack Allen. Having grown up in Bethel Park, I have a few memories of the Miners Park in the area. Probably the first one is as a kid, and this was many years ago, playing baseball on the field, on the upper field for several years. And as I was talking to Bob, somebody hit a foul ball and broke a window, and it wasn't me. But he's the historian, and he found the records that my fingerprints are all over that. But what stood out most to me about Coverdale was back in the late 90s when we had the dedication of the memorial stone attributed to all the families that grew up and lived in Coverdale. And what truly amazed me was not only the people that lived here that showed up, but the people that came back here, that were part of this community, maybe as a child and moved away. But the number of people that came back was just truly astounding. And it really, the fellowship, the friendships, things today in today's society with everybody very busy, they don't take time to do that. And it just was truly amazing and a humbling experience to me just to witness what this community does and how they stick together in the fellowship amongst everybody. Even today, as I walk through the park, Coverdale, and see people out on the street, everybody says hello. Everybody says, how you doing? And it just makes it so friendly. And it's truly a tribute to the Coverdale and to the Bethel Park community. And that's really what makes Coverdale special, is the people. What brings us here today is, part of it is the dedication of the park and the new playground equipment and some of the things. I thought it was appropriate to talk about a little history of the park. And as president of the Bethel Park Historical Society, I had to dig some of this up, and I'd like to thank Bob McCormick, Noreen Mercer, and the Bethel Park Historical Society for providing some information that I thought was interesting regarding the park. Miners Park was actually wooded areas, partially used as a dump site originally. If whatever they couldn't burn or use, they would just come over here and dump. In the late 20s, the mining company and several miners cleared what we believe to be the lower field to make it a place for them to play, the Coverdale baseball team to play baseball. And in the 1930s, it became a custom for mining towns to have their own soccer team, and Coverdale was no exception. And this was really based on the Eastern European and English influence in the region. They played at local towns, including down in Castle Shannon. They would practice on Saturday and play on Sunday. And in 1938 and 1939, they became the Coverdale soccer team and played in the Panhandle League. And they actually won the league championship in 1940. In the 50s, we believe there was a barn located on Main Street where the concession stand is today. And we believe this area became officially known Miners Park back around 1960. And in August 1996, as I referenced a little earlier, there was a dedication of the memorial stone naming the families that worked and lived in Coverdale, what is adjacent to the park up on Main Street. And this memorial was donated by Paul Henney. And on August 15th, 2015, the basketball court right behind me was dedicated to the late Armin Gilliam, who played high school basketball in Bethel Park, played college basketball at UNLV, and played professional basketball in the NBA for 13 years. He spent his childhood playing on this court. And today we were also adding to the history of the park with some of the renovations and some of the updates we've done, and I'll just briefly talk about several of them. Over the last 2 years, 20 and 21, and based on COVID, we were hoping to have everything completed last year, but we did get the park completed. We did some stormwater management on the lower field, and we actually added a rain garden. We did a lot of new fencing and batting cages on the upper fields. We put in some ADA compliant sidewalks, not only in the park, but around the park, to really make it a little more accessible to the neighbors. We renovated the basketball courts, the bathroom, and the concession stand up on the upper field. A new park sign, new playground equipment that was chosen actually by the children. Lawrence, Christian, and Joe actually met with the neighbors and Diane and had a couple different images of what they would like to see their playground look like. And we let the children pick what they felt was the best option, and this is what you see here today. There was a lot of additional work done by our Public Works Department, and we would like to thank them for the work and the maintenance they do in the facility. I thought I would talk a little bit about a story that I read. I thought it was interesting. It exemplifies a little bit of Coverdale. This is from the Bethel Park News back on July 20th in 1939. It was in a regular Frank Morelli finish. Coverdale defeated the strong Hazelwood team at Coverdale on Friday, July 14th in a score of 13-10. Going into the last half of the ninth inning, the Hazelwood was leading 10-9 when Coverdale had 2 men out, 3 men on base. The count was 3 balls and 2 strikes, and Frank Richardson hit the longest home run ever hit on the Coverdale field. The ball cleared the water tank by 6 feet and went into the frog pond behind it. But I thought that truly exemplifies, the history and the people and everything that's going on in the park. And really to do all these things, it takes funding. And the municipalities made a commitment, but we also need funding and help from our elected officials. And we've been very fortunate. We've spent over the last 2 years well over $500,000 on updates. We reached out to our state elected officials from some help and fortunate enough to receive some major grants to help with these park renovations. So at this time, I'd like to call up one of our partners, Natalie Mihalik, State Representative, to say a few things.
Thanks, Tim. It's nice to see everyone here on this beautiful, humid Pennsylvania morning. Nice to see all of your faces. I'm happy to be here with you on in your special community on your very special day of celebration. And I really do feel like I'm standing here among history. Over the last 100 years, this neighborhood has transformed and evolved into the close-knit community that it is today. And I know this park serves as the place where you spend your summers and your special occasions and your birthdays, and you watch your kids grow and play on the playground. And I hope that this new playground is the place where your children are going to form their memories of a beautiful childhood in this beautiful place. I have to tell you, in my line of work, I meet a lot of people and I knock on a lot of doors, knocked on a lot of them with our senator over here. And we spent some time last summer in the Coverdale neighborhood, and there was really no place like it. We've probably done, about 15,000 doors in the last couple of years. And coming through your neighborhood, everybody was just so welcoming to me and to Senator Robinson. Almost every house said, "Oh, can you come back when my husband's here? Why don't you go see Joe across the street? He'd love to talk to you. Can you go see my grandmother a couple doors down? She really, needs something from you." It was just so different from any other neighborhood that I visited. So many thousands of doors and so many different neighborhoods, and there was nothing quite like Coverdale. It really was, quintessential America, and it made me so happy to visit, and I can't wait to come back and visit all of you. There's nobody more deserving of this celebration today, and I'm happy to be part of it, happy to play a very small role in helping you get, this new playground equipment and the sidewalks and just beautifying, your, little corner of the world and your part of history. So on behalf of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives, I just wanted to present a certificate to the municipality for everything that they've done here to make this a beautiful place to celebrate you, your community, and your history. So please enjoy your day, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Natalie. At this time, I would like to introduce our state senator, Devlin Robinson, to say a few words.
Thank you. As Representative Mihalik mentioned, she and I had knocked on just about every door here in Coverdale. I knew what a truly special place this was because I had a very good friend that lived over on Cherry Street, and I said, "Hey, you want to go out? You want to introduce me to your family and your friends and your neighbors?" And he said, "Absolutely. Park in my driveway. We'll head down there." And just like Representative Mihalik had mentioned, I mean, every door, you need something to eat, you need a bottle of water, you want to come in. It was truly a special place, and it always gets me thinking. Whenever I walk around neighborhoods like that, and especially that whenever I write a 100-year proclamation, you think of the people and the families that have used Coverdale and passed through, and even the businesses, and how much has changed in those 100 years. But the one thing that doesn't change, the one thing that stays the same or remains, is the land. And it's a true pleasure of ours with the state rep, with county council, and with Bethel Park Council to beatify the land and to make it continue to be a wonderful place to live. So just like Representative Mihalik, I brought a certificate of everybody's recognition of all their hard work and dedication to making this such a great place to live. So thank you. And I look forward to the festival today. Shall I leave this here?
Thank you. At this time, I would like to introduce the mayor of Bethel Park, Jack Allen.
Good morning, everyone. Probably about a month or so ago, I was sitting at a council meeting, and Council Magnus said, "Don't forget about the Coverdale dedication." And I said, "Well, when is it?" and he told me July 17th. I looked on my calendar, and we actually have a mayor's conference going on right now. So I left there this morning to come back here to be with you, and then as long as I'm there by 1:30, they won't even know I'm missing. So one thing that, and I'm sure Bob will mention, that down in the church, there's a beautiful display of artifacts from the area. We taped a show down there last year, which was actually, I guess, the 100th. And if you don't get a chance to see it today, you can go to YouTube and watch our show on there just to see what all's down there. But I have a memorial or a mayoral proclamation in recognition of Coverdale, July 17th, 2021. Whereas the Coverdale mine opened September of 1920, and whereas the Pittsburgh terminal constructed 100 houses in 2 different styles and 10 different color schemes with running water and electricity. And whereas William U. Coverdale wanted to create a mining town that was superior to all others and set a new bar for mining towns. And whereas William U. Coverdale wanted to name the town after him because he took pride in what Coverdale had become. And whereas after the mine closed in 1948, residents bought and improved the original mining homes in Coverdale. And now therefore I, as mayor of Bethel Park, in concert with the council of the municipality of Bethel Park, hereby recognize the value of Coverdale and rich history that has contributed to the municipality of Bethel Park. So I have a proclamation for the area. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I would like to introduce from the Bethel Park Chamber, Connie Ruhl, to talk about the economics of Coverdale.
Thank you. I'm excited to represent the Bethel Park business community because it all began here. It started with the mining stores that were called the Champion stores. Ruthford, who now is Ruthford Acres, Ruthford Market as you would know it, was one of the Champion stores. The Blue Line Grill and Library was, and the apartments on Main Street were one of the first mining stores or Champion stores. That's where all of our business began. And I think that's exciting to know because if it wasn't from the mining town, you wouldn't have the businesses that you have today. I grew up in a little steel town, so I can identify with that community type living. And you're essential to the vibration of the community itself. We have over 5,000 businesses. That includes the in-home businesses and all of your storefronts. That's a lot. And I can tell you, as representing the school district as an elected official there, over 42 school districts, we are the envy of many districts because we have an excellent tax base. And if it wasn't for that tax base, your taxes would be sky high. So you have a lot to owe to that business community. When Dr. McNary came and developed this area, he offered the then Board of Trade, which was the initial Bethel Park Chamber, headquarters here in the park itself. And Reno Virgili's father and Pete Edwards, who couldn't make it today, father, were founders of that Board of Trade. And they are both active members or businesses of the chamber today, and we're very thankful for that. They support everything that we do in the community. So I ask you, as representing the businesses here and what they brought to the community, that you continue to support them, especially after having been through this pandemic. They really need it. And even if you go online locally, because more of those dollars stay here. You know, if they aren't a driver for the online business that you're dealing with, we get very little revenue. So please continue to support them. But I want to just add one little historical note that I found, that why oftentimes people call this the patch. Well, when this town was developed, it was considered the national state-of-the-art town, mining town. A lot of thought went into it. The first 100 houses, they were so excited because they had running water and electricity that was not found in the rest of the United States. The other thing that got its name the Patch, because they were determined that not all the houses would be monochrome gray, and that the houses were pink and blue in 10 different colors. And that's how it got the name of the Patch. So we were written up nationally, and you have a lot of history here, a lot to be proud of. And I think that anyone in Bethel Park should continue to learn more about it, and I hope that you continue to support the businesses and everything that everyone does. And I thank you for all your help and attendance today. Thank you.
And as we talk about history, this segues right into Bob McCormick, and he will talk about the history of Coverdale and talk about a display down at the Bethel Baptist Church.
Thank you. There's so much to say about Coverdale, so much to say about Miners Park. I could speak for days and not do this area justice. So much history and so much stories. I'd like to thank everyone involved helping put this together. As Diane Ford said, so many pieces of the puzzle. I'd like to thank everybody, the municipality and everybody involved for this beautiful park. And I would like one round of applause for them, please. I don't know where Diane's at. I can't see her right now, but I would like to thank her for her tireless efforts. I don't know if anybody that doesn't know Diane, I can tell you she's not human. She's a machine. This woman never sleeps. And I got proof of that by getting emails about today's events, sometimes at even 3:47 in the morning. Crazy. So thank you, Diane. And after this, please get some sleep. I'd like to thank everybody for putting everybody behind the scenes to put this together. I enjoyed sitting at Bethel Baptist Church with the planning committee, talking and laughing. I'd like to say thank you to Bethel Baptist Church. Rough times in the last year for the church and for everybody. But with God's grace, the church is building stronger. I'd like to thank Joe Consul Magnu. Often you'll see Joe, sometimes his wife, walking through the park, engaging with some of the residents and having meetings at some points with some of the residents. Sometimes just talking. Other times we're bringing up issues. As said earlier, Joe was down here talking to the kids and asking them what their vision was for the park. You just don't see interaction like that anymore, so we appreciate you, Joe. And as for Coverdale, there's just something about this land. There's something special about Coverdale. We all know that the mine opened in 1920. Mining towns are all over Pennsylvania, but like said earlier, Coverdale is different. From Coverdale's planning stages, Coverdale was to stand out and above the rest. In 1918, the Pittsburgh Terminal Railroad called it the new standard in coal towns. Interestingly enough, 103 years later, in this past June, at Miners Park ribbon cutting planning meeting, Bethel Park manager Lawrence Christian unknowingly repeated the vision of this area and said, Miners Park is the new standard for parks. Something about this land. A few years ago, I started the Coverdale exhibit at Bethel Baptist Church. I used a collection of Coverdale artifacts and stories I collected for over 40 years. My point was to showcase all 100 years of this neighborhood. I took notice that most of the documented history in Coverdale stopped in 1949 when the mine closed. But I always wondered, what about the stories from 1949 till now? Why is that not documented? There's just too many stories not to be told. What about the struggles, the prejudices Coverdale had to overcome? And what about all the amazing people and victories? What about stories of unity amongst neighbors when officials years ago wanted to condemn this area, the entire neighborhood? What about the strength, courage, guidance, and restraint Coverdale parents had when Ben Franklin Elementary was closed in the 1980s? There were some parents from other housing plans, newer housing plans, that opposed Coverdale kids coming to their schools. Parents of Coverdale were led by God's word as they explained that the children of some people might treat them different because they lived in Coverdale. Last night while on the phone with Diane Ford, she was quoted by saying, there's two different experiences in Bethel Park back then, Coverdale and everyone else's. The Gilliam family was quoted by saying, Coverdale is a community that faced several obstacles over the years, including poverty and racism. However, in lieu of hardship, we have survived. What about the hard work as people in Coverdale took 4-room company houses and made them homes, digging out the basements, updating plumbing, electric, and building additions, cleaning out lots? What about the unity of neighbors when someone is sick or in need? I even have a funny story here about Mailman George. I don't know if anybody remembers Mailman George, but he was here for quite a long time. He delivered here. He said that he never seen a better group of people than in his mail route to Coverdale. He also stated that the route always took him longer than every other route because he was always involved in long conversations and he was always being fed. One of the complaints that George had, he said that Coverdale was the only route that he had where he actually gained weight. The message of family, unity, and togetherness is heard anytime you talk about anyone from Coverdale. John Pennick, previously from Coverdale, was quoted, Coverdale people had nothing but always gave. Just think about that. Coverdale people had nothing but always gave. Another past Coverdale resident, Angie Lytle, was quoted by saying, you can always find a friend in Coverdale. Her daughter, Linda, moved from Coverdale when she was only 6 years old. She contacted me and said that all the places that she lived and all the places she went over her life, that Coverdale is what she says is her hometown. That's amazing to me. Again, why are all these thousands of other stories not documented? This is Coverdale history. So for that, the Coverdale exhibit was born. The idea is to celebrate all 100 years of Coverdale. What happened in 1920 is no more important than what's happening today. It's all inclusive. I want our great-grandchildren to read about the beginnings and read about the 100th anniversary. Today is a part of history. You are a part of history. This neighborhood may look different than others in Bethel Park, but we certainly are the richest. I also wanted to mention Bethel Baptist Church, the cornerstone of Coverdale. It's a big weekend for Coverdale, but it's also a big weekend for Bethel Baptist Church. Bethel Baptist's grand reopening is this weekend. I encourage everybody to go down to Bethel Baptist between 12 and 6 today to see the beautiful church, the updates, and visit the Coverdale exhibit. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., the family and friends service will be held and a small lunch served afterwards. In 1925, 160 people attended the opening of the Coverdale Mission. It would be a great story to add to the Coverdale exhibit if we met or exceeded that number. Bethel Baptist is a place of worship with no pressure and no obligation, a place to feel safe among friends, just like Coverdale. In closing, let's take the weekend and enjoy the park. Enjoy Coverdale and enjoy each other. Share stories or reminisce. Through it all, we stand 100 years strong with no end in sight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I guess as we come to the end of the program, a couple of things I'd like to note. I think, Diane, your prayers were answered. The sun is out, and there will be no rain today. And number two is the programming is running ahead to schedule, so you're probably tired of hearing me talk up here. So on for what we came today is the start of a great weekend, is the dedication of the playground equipment in the new park, or the updated park. I'd like everybody to join us over there for the official ribbon cutting. And if you haven't been down to the Bethel Baptist Church, stop and see the exhibit. I know Bob and everybody's done great, and it truly is extremely important to know where you came from and know the history of the area. So I want to encourage you, if you haven't been down there, take some time to go down there and see everything. It truly is very interesting. And I just wanted to thank everybody for coming today, and thank Diane for the beautiful weather, and now on to the ribbon cutting and a great weekend. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, where are we looking?
All right, good day. 1, 2, 3, go.